Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
1,001 steps in White Rock, by the way. We've had several people
White Rock
with submissions. Ryan was wondering about the steps in the White Rock area. You know what? That's the first time I've heard of them.
Yeah.
You're in White Rock.
I know it. I heard there's somewhere you can go for steps.
Yeah. Like the grouse like the grouse grind. It is Thursday, our final show of this particular Donnie and Dolly season. And all of today's guests are brought to you by, and that includes Farhan standing by, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Looking for a midweek escape close to home? BC residents save 15% on weekday stays at the Bayside Oceanfront Resort in Parksville. Book now at BaysideResortParksville.com. Lions in Montreal, 1-3 Lions in Montreal against the 3-1 Alouettes. On Saturday, Farhan Lalji joins us now from TSN to talk about that. How are you, sir?
Good, fellas. Are you not even working Friday? Like you couldn't even finish the week? Is that the deal?
I'll have you know that we worked a stat on Monday.
Yeah.
So this
right.
is an in lieu day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Very clever. Very well done.
Yeah. And you know what? I know you'd do the same thing, buddy.
Veteran move. Veteran.
I am getting on a flight tomorrow, and I'll be gone for about 9 days. But if you guys had a show next week, I would do your show from there, right? Like so.
Yeah. Globetrotting Farhan. Yeah. Hey, listen, Farhan, Nathan Rourke, we hear he was taking the majority of first-team snaps for the Lions. Are we going to see him play on Saturday in Montreal?
I think so. My gut tells me yes, but today's practice really matters because if you'd asked me this at this same time last week, I would have said the same thing because he took the first 2 days of practice last week, right? And then Thursday all of a sudden rolled around and then he didn't do anything in practice. So we'll see what happens this afternoon, but as long as he's taking reps and continues to, trend in this direction as opposed to last week where he was here and then kind of like that, I think that's the plan. That's the hope, and it's time. The Lions need him big time.
Well, exactly. And Farhan, our understanding is that Jeremiah Masoli is injured as well, or has been hurt. So are we going to see Chase Bryce if Nathan Rourke can't go?
I believe you are. Yeah. I think, and I'm not sure how much of this is an injury versus the level of soreness. I don't know that there was a moment in that last game where there was an obvious injury. I think I'm sure there's a lot going into this at this moment, for Jeremiah Masoli. So, and for the club as they kind of, make their decisions in that regard as well. So I think that it would be Chase Bryce. I think they've seen what they needed to see from Masoli for 2 games. And I think the club needs to know what it has in Chase Bryce, right? Because I know they really liked his progression from year 1 to year 2. I'm not sure what the progression has been from 2 to 3, but they kind of need to make an evaluation here or potentially move on, right? I think, he's getting the reps this week. He probably is getting around a third of the reps. And then if Nathan's not available, I think Chase is going to be the first call. And I think he probably should have come in earlier in the last game.
Okay, and Farhan, you've talked about this player before. You're very high on. He's from Washington State, went to Portland State University. But Alouettes quarterback Davis Alexander, who seems like the real thing.
The stud. He's really good. He was my MOP pick to start the season. I don't think he's going to play this week, right? We'll see what happens for them in practice today. I haven't looked at the reports, but I know that he hasn't done much the last couple of days due to that hamstring, and they've got a bye next week. So I think they might be looking at taking a bit of a cautious approach again. We'll see what today looked like for them, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was McLeod Bethel-Thompson again against the Lions. But when you talk about Alexander, like this guy has a lot of the same traits Nathan does, right? He's got a strong arm, extremely mobile, processes the game really well, has a level of moxie and confidence. I think the league wants more players like this in it, and he's great. He'll be great for that franchise, but he'll be a player we're talking about in the CFL for a long time.
All right, Farhan, big day for the Canucks. Besser, Demko, Garland all come back. They're bringing the band back, but the great thing about these 3 guys is they all wanted to be back. A lot of UFAs told their agents, Vancouver's not on my list. I don't want to go to Vancouver, but here you got 3 American guys who said, hey, we want to be back.
Yeah, look, I think that's a good sign for the reason that you outlined. But there's going to be some people that say, "What's this core done?" Right? And I know there were people in the building last year that felt the same thing. Right? Like this core's had a long sample size. They haven't shown us they can get over the hump. What are we doing? Right? Like, why are we spinning our wheels and kind of doing this again? So I know part of this is, I think, somewhat reactionary, quite frankly, because of what they had to deal with in the week or weeks leading up to it, where, the point that you made, that a lot of people are saying, yeah, Vancouver's not on the list. It kind of forces you to pivot a bit as an organization, right? And okay, maybe we do need to get this group back. And I think the Quinn Hughes part of it is also a factor. So you can look at it a lot of different ways, and we'll see how it plays out, right? I mean, I think Connor Garland and Brock Besser are good signings. Besser took a bit of a discount, even though he got the additional term. And, even a guy like Garland, right? Like in the new cap world, that contract is going to age well. But, with Demko, we're going to kind of holding our breath. So I know that he took a bit of a risk on term, but the Canucks took a pretty significant risk in terms of dollars. So they're tied to him for the next 4 years at a pretty good number for a goaltender that at 8.5 should be a heavy workload guy. But we know that if Thatcher Demko's a heavy workload guy, he's not going to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And if he's a heavy workload guy, then you're overpaying Lankinen. So, they are kind of dancing a bit of a dance there as far as the goaltending position is concerned. But again, like if this core hasn't done anything for this many years, is it a good thing? But then the other side of it is, if other people don't want to come here, then maybe this is, better the devil right?
Well, they're not done. They need a centerman because they're going to have to spend the next few weeks before training camp looking for someone, and they're going to have to offset somebody from the current roster to bring somebody else in. Like, I don't think they're done. They have to improve that second line center spot.
Sure, and you're right. But okay, so let's do what's speculated, and let's say they move on from a guy like Dakota Joshua or Teddy Bluger or both. With those contracts, that's still only $5 million in cap space that you're clearing out, right? So that's not enough to go out and get that guy from a cap perspective, let alone an asset perspective. So again, like if they thought they were going to get Besser back at this number, do they go out and get Evander Kane? Right? Like some of it just doesn't seem like it's been overly well thought out or planned. It just seems reactionary. And now all of a sudden you're completely up against it cap wise. There's no easy possibilities on who you want to move, because if you want to get a legitimate second line center, that guy's probably making $7-8 million, right? At the minimum. So like, you're gonna have to clear out a lot of salary to make that work. So if it was difficult before, I don't know that it just got any easier now.
Do you mind telling us where you're headed for your
exactly
for your summer?
We're going back. Well, it's not necessarily a summer vacation, but my son is. We've had a few Ivy League schools that have reached out that are interested in him football wise. So we are headed back there to go to a bunch of camps and campus visits. So we're going to Harvard and Yale and Brown and Princeton and Dartmouth and a bunch of these places. So it'll be like one day in, get to the next spot, next day in, get to the next spot. So a bit of a work trip for him, but my wife and daughter are coming, so a bit of vacation for them too.
He's fourth on the Alliance depth chart, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, no, they just brought in a guy they just brought in Garrett. I forget his Schrader. They just brought him back, so he's fourth. Yeah, so maybe he's fifth. We'll see.
All the best to you and your family, Farhan. And this is our last show of the year. We can't thank you enough for helping us out each and every week.
Hey, I love doing this show. You guys are the best. Henderson's adequate. Quinn is an upgrade. And I'm actually, speaking of the Taylor family, your lovely wife Lisa reached out. So we're going, when I get back, we're going to connect. You might be invited.
All right. Well, I appreciate hearing that. Secondhand. Thanks for this, Farhan.
Hey, we get Lisa and I go back farther than you and Lisa go back.
No, hold on a second. You're responsible for us being married.
Whoa. There you go.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I am proud of it.
Yeah.
That's like my only matchmaking excursion, and I did it right.
Yeah, I don't know what she was thinking. All right, Farhan. Thanks for that, and thanks for this and everything.
Have a great summer, boys.
Appreciate it.